Hello? No audio. Gina?
Saw
Oh, she can't hear us.
um, a really nasty reptilian, scaly looking creature like peer over my crib and look at me. So yeah, that they've been interested in me for a long time, um, for whatever reason. So
Well, I just was informed by why we were getting so many phone calls is because your audio was muted. So, our apologies for losing your first 5 minutes. But again, everyone, this is Will. Say hi, Will. You go ahead. See,
hello.
see what you get for fucking around with the clowns, the Exo News clowns. Come
No,
on,
no, no.
man.
It's a common thing. Like I don't know for whatever reason, I get that. That's the second
uh,
time.
it's
So
just because we're retarded. That's all. I mean, it's nothing to do with you,
It's
man.
completely our fault.
All right, so okay, so just real quick to gloss. I don't know. It sucks that we got to gloss over
Quick
that,
recap,
but
everybody.
quick recap. Will
It's
was
Wednesday
explaining.
night. Welcome to Reality
his-
Brief, your one-stop shop for technical difficulties.
Well, I mean, I think it's an interesting enough point to kind of go over again, and that would be your first memory.
yeah, the first memory of being born was yeah, I was in a. I mean, I remember a piece of glass cylinder, half circle piece of glass over me, and then looking out at a uh, kind of a control room that was elevated, a good, I mean, a decent, whatever, 20, 30 yards away, and I next thing I knew, I for somehow I knew that I was about to incarnate in Earth again, and I was very angry at that, and the last thing I remember before I lost my memory of who I was it's really confusing down there,
Hmm.
and I was very angry because I was lied to. I was thought that I was going doing something else, and to be put back here, I was definitely really pissed off. So um, that was kind of the flavor of how I was born,
Hmm.
and so yeah. Then
And
go ahead.
to point out too that it was humans that you had saw, not
Yes,
any type of ETs or energy beings or anything like that. Just straight up
now
humans.
no heavenly feeling at all. It felt very mundane, and
So,
yeah,
like, was it?
hum-
Did it feel clinical at all?
yeah. I mean, it seemed like a big warehouse. I mean, like that. I mean, if I would describe the shape, I don't know if it was underground or whatever, but I mean, I didn't see any windows to the outside. It was just a big open space. I mean, that's all I could see from that one uh, spot of my own laying down point of view. And then, like I said, I could see the control room like often, decent distance away.
Okay, well, I'm not trying to rush you, but then we went on to right right before we got the audio back. we were talking about you were talking about some shadow figure encounters, and it seemed to be pretty standard shadow figure encounter. You know, the
Correct.
featureless, black grayish being that's paralyzation, extreme fear, that kind of thing. Um,
Pretty much. And but as I got older, I got to the point where I was used to it, and it didn't scare me. Like I felt almost more protected by it. Honestly,
hmm,
I didn't get like I. The older I got, the less. And that was a different. Like I said, there was a different figure. The one I saw that time when I was two, that was it. Like I said, it had horns and was giant, and like there was like smoke coming off of it, and
hmm,
it was freaky. The other ones was just a human figure
right.
uh, that just was. I mean, I don't know how tall I was because I was a toddler. So I mean, it might not have been that tall, but it looked tall to me. So, but I would see that one quite a bit, and then yeah, that was kind of, and then that leads me up to my first remembered abduction,
Okay.
and that was when I was four, and I was taken from my back of my grandmother's house, the backyard, and when I was put back, I was in the front yard of my grandmother, and I remember there was a. I mean, this sounds so weird, but literally, it was like a fold in the sky, or like a cutout, and I saw this pink light, and I saw a ship come out, and it wasn't like a triangular ship like a TR-3B. It was more like a kind of like a pyramid on its side, a long skinny pyramid on its side,
Hmm.
and that's what I saw, and then I don't remember anything after that. But when I came back, um, for some reason it blew a telephone, a transformer at the same time, So,
Hmm.
there was like a huge explosion of sparks and stuff when I got back, and that's what kind of notified my grandmother. Um,
That's crazy.
So was the ship? You said it was kind of like a stretch pyramid. Was it more like was it like an obelisk, or was it just like a long pyramid?
I would, yeah. I mean, it looks like it. Simon Park describes them pretty well. It's like a long, almost look kind of brownish, but yeah, long, almost like a like a piece of pie kind of, but a little bit more like, but with four sides. It's weird because when I played Legos as a kid, I would build that same ship every time I played Legos. It was so weird, but yeah, that ship came and got me. And then I had all these weird. Every house I moved to, there was this one pasture that I was always scared to go into, and I've just started to remember what happened in those pastures where a ship would land and I would just walk right into it.
That's spooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
So, like, can you describe this fold the fold in the sky? Like, how did it look? Did it look
Man,
like displaced clouds, or
no clouds. It was a clear blue sky, and I can't. I mean, it was like there was a tear in the sky, or like a fold in it that opened up. I mean, I really can't describe it compared to anything. I don't. I mean, I guess it was a portal. You know, I don't know what a portal looks like. So, I mean, that would. It almost seemed like something else was there that cut in for a second. Like there was some other structure that became visible for a second and then went out. So yeah, was that a portal? I don't know, but it literally felt like there was like there was texture to the sky and something came out of part of it. I mean, I know it sounds crazy. I totally remember that. And that's not regression or anything. That's my own memory.
So do you have any recall of what happened when they took you, or is that still blank?
I was regressed to that, and I'm not sure if that was what actually. I'm not sure if my regression is real. But I mean, I don't remember honestly what happened.
Is the regression something you want to discuss, or would you rather?
Sure. I mean, it was. I mean, I was kind of taken by the same kind of weird bird reptilian-y creature. And that's kind of
feather.
There was feathers, yeah. I mean, a beak. I mean, that looked. I mean, this sounds so stupid, but it looked a lot like a Skeksis from Dark Crystal.
Or should I say?
No, and honestly, I mean, that's what's so weird, and this is why I question it. But one of the memories was like it even was kind of humming like that, like it was like when I was 8 months old, like it was like it came in like it was like so gleeful to see me, like psychotically gleeful to look at me and shit, and it was freaky.
That is freaky.
Yeah,
that would freak the shit out of me, man.
Yeah, but like,
how are you holding it together right now?
I don't know, man. But like, I would totally get triggered so easy. Like, I couldn't do the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus or any of that shit. I would totally freak out. Like, I couldn't handle any of that crap. And then I drowned when I was 18 months old. Like, I drowned. Like, my mom found me at the bottom of a pool, and she just happened to be a CPR instructor and resuscitated me. And I kind of remember wanting to check out at that time.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's been a struggle. I mean, it's not like, it's definitely been a struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard anybody with a story that's a party yet.
Yeah. I mean, it was rough. I mean, it was rough, pretty rough.
So, further abductions, and how long did the abductions take place? Like your whole childhood?
Well, that's where I honestly, I don't really know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out if that face that came out of the wall every night or out of the same place every night, if that was an abduction, if that was them taking me or what.
Right. We talked about that earlier, but we didn't get to that part. Do you want to go through that?
Well, sure. I mean, one house, it was like the wall right next to my bed. Another house, it was out of this one. I had these big shelves, and it would come out of this deep shelf every night. And I mean, it would scare the. I mean, literally, I'd see it and almost faint in fear or whatever, dissociate, which I was dissociating, and yeah, and so I'm not sure if that was them scaring me to take my dream body to put it into a clone. I don't know if that was actually a portal that they were walking through to take me physically. I definitely have a memory of some people taking me one time. Because I remember they were carrying this weird box, and I never understood that. And then I listened to another MILAB, and they said that box is what puts everybody to sleep, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, we've heard rumors of tech that they could turn on that would put everybody within a radius of sleep, so they could just come snatch whoever.
Yeah, I mean, dogs, everything. So yeah, that's. So yeah, that was two guys. I mean, I remember that. They were driving a red sedan. Interestingly enough, but yeah, I mean a lot of activity throughout my childhood. I mean, so yeah, and then like that second half of second grade after those tests I took, that seemed to be because right after that's when I had the ulcer and everything else. So I feel like something really bad happened in that time period, and I guess that's when I had a 20 in back. 40 back or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
Now, do you remember anything about being off world?
I had. I mean, I have it from those times or recalls afterwards.
Either way.
I mean, I definitely had. Like, I remember my first day of whatever Space Academy or whatever the hell it was. I mean, I was kind of last to get there, and I walked into a big amphitheater. There's probably 2,000-3,000 kids, probably from 5 to 8 or 10 or something like that. And we were all sitting there, and they were about to give a presentation. And I remember making contact with this one girl, and she said, it was like psychic connection already, kind of thing. But yeah, that's that. But I don't remember anything. I don't remember the presentation, but I knew that we were in space, and we were all wearing like these kind of egg, kind of whatever, not bright white, but kind of, off white, not leotards, but jumpsuit things. So that's.
Do you remember any non-humans around at that point, or was it all humans?
Well,
who was given the presentation?
Well, that was actually a woman was actually given the presentation, a human woman. So I think that has to do with whatever I'm in, whatever my current altar is. What I used to have as a kid, and this was recurring, and this would happen 2 or 3 times a week, where I'd have a classroom dream where I'd be led into a classroom. And I remember one time the guards at the gate at the door of the classroom were these 10-foot tall blue beings that were wearing military garb. They were like light blue, white haired, did not look at us at all. I mean, it was like, I just remember seeing them and kind of being like, holy shit, what the hell is that? And then they led us into this classroom. And a lot of times the classroom, it was so weird because we'd all be in there and then there would be no teacher and everybody's just staring straight ahead with this blank look on their face. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I was always trying to get out of there. And there would be a couple of us that would try to leave, and, I'd get out of the door, and sometimes it would be, like super cold when I grew up in Texas, like where there's ice, snow everywhere and shit. And I'd be like, I'd always be freaking out, like, how the hell am I going to get home? Because I know that I'm like in another country or some crazy shit. And like one time I remember getting out and there was two moons in the sky. And I was like really, really despaired because I was like, holy shit, I'm not even on Earth, like how the hell am I going to get home? But one of the main constants of those dreams is that I could never hide from whoever we were running from. Like they would always find us. And I always hated that, but they would always be able to find us. And, but yeah, I had that dream quite a bit. And that's one of my first, like those dreams I saw, and I haven't heard many people talk about these giant blue beings, but I don't know.
think that might be the first I've heard of it. It sounds like almost like you're describing an Andorian without antennas from Star Trek.
I'm not sure. Oh yeah, and is that no? That's not from.
Well, like, when you said military uniforms, were they like fatigues or were they like
Dress khakis or something.
yeah, dress
It
uniforms?
was off. It was olive green with some red, kind of standard military. Looked like Air Force or not Air Force, but Army officer or
Red.
lower class type of setup, full dress.
Gotcha.
They were wearing the hats.
Like berets?
Nah, they were wearing the kind of like I guess a captain, whatever, more like a hat from the Marines or something like that.
Like the Gilligan type hats?
Or Air Force or Navy. They were whatever. I don't even know what those are called, but like a little bill with a round, kind of puffy a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, fisherman type hats. I know what you're talking about. You see a lot of those.
So that would be what, Navy, like a sailor type hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sailor or Marines or something like that. But they weren't human, and they didn't act human. They didn't. I could tell that they were alien. Like they didn't feel human at all. Like they were different. And I was freaking out because no one else saw them, and I was like, "Holy shit! What the fuck is that?"
Right, nobody else saw them. So
yeah, no one else was
they
freaking
didn't
out.
Speak then. You didn't hear what they sounded like.
No, they didn't speak. They didn't even. They had this smirk on their face, but they didn't. They didn't speak. Like it was like a test almost. It seemed like everything. I feel like all that shit was a test. They were seeing if we could break the entrainment.
Right.
I don't even think we were learning anything in the classroom. I think it was to see if we could, whatever they are doing to us, could we break out of it?
Wow, that's interesting.
Do you remember anything about the type? Were you on board ships of any kind when you were off world, or was it all like going through gates, or how did it work?
See, I don't remember any of the transport. None at all. It only seems like I only remember things when I'm like in fight or flight mode. Like when my adrenaline's, and that seems to be even constant now. Like if I can get adrenaline pumping, then I can remember. But if not, it's like I'm on autopilot or whatever.
Gotcha.
And that seems to be a key even in trying to not be abducted now. Like if you can get a really strong endorphin, like if you can go in there and get that energy, you can kind of stop it from happening.
So you've had all these memories for a long time now. Lots of crazy shit doesn't add up, and you started trying to put it together, and you're looking at this whole Kruger Monarch thing. What brought you to that avenue? Was it just listening to other people?
Well, I had my own recalls, and the people that I was working with, and that, like I said, this is all within 6 months. I mean, most of my MILABs are from when I was 13 and up, and they're completely separate than what's going on now in the whole Monarch Kruger thing. Because I'm pretty sure that if that's true, then I was totally I was trained by a Monarch. So,
well, for those listening that may not be familiar with these programs, could you just give a brief explanation of what
I will try my best. I don't know the founding of Kruger. I've been looking for that information. Because I feel like it's actually really important how that all got started. But Kruger and Monarch are supposedly mercenary programs that are involved with training assets from an early age. So if you're identified as being capable of being an asset in whatever way they want you, then it seems like you get one of the two factions takes you and trains you.
And how does the cybernetics and clones factor into this?
Well, the clones factor in by, and this is my kind of the best guess going theory on this is that they're able, once you've been implanted, then they're able to find you and basically able to somehow through quantum entanglement take your body or your consciousness out and stick it into a clone of yourself. And a lot of the missions happen in that clone body, because somehow I was, even when I was 13, I would be 20 I was a full grown man doing these missions, so there's definitely some sort of like, must be able to change that all around and stick you in an older clone of yourself or something like that.
So that's how they would actually come abduct you. They wouldn't come abduct you physically out of your house. They would, well, in this instance, the Monarch and the Kruger programs, I'm not talking about when you were a child.
Yeah, well, I think they will take you to implant you with their specific implant. Then after that, then I think they can just call you. It's like, yeah, they can dial you up almost.
So you think that Kruger scooped you up, so to speak, because of your prior...
I think Monarch trained me, and I think I joined Kruger at a later time.
Okay, so Monarch was the one that you were thinking was in control of your early childhood stuff?
Yes, I think that because I had a bunch of reptilian stuff, and possibly Anunnaki. I'm pretty sure that if they're all with the Illuminati, and the Illuminati are basically running these cloning centers, then yes, I think that they're all connected somehow.
Okay.
And I could be wrong, and that could change tomorrow, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the case with all of this, I think. What you think now might be totally different tomorrow, because there's new shit flying around everywhere, and
somebody else says something, and
and then with, like we were talking about earlier, just the amount of mind control and programming that's said to be available. You could be saying something. I could be having a memory right now, and that fucking happened, but no, it didn't. They just made me think that. So I mean, it's tricky, man. It's tricky. I can only imagine.
Well, I mean, this is just my experience, and I guess I should have said that from the beginning. These are all just my experiences. I don't like jumping to conclusions. I am trying to make sense of this and going with the tools and the ideas that we got available. So
yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It fits. It's a
it does fit,
assumption,
but yeah, but that's an assumption. Just because it fits doesn't mean it's true. So,
true.
But I think anyone that's having these memories, you got to stay on your feet. You got to stay on your toes. You can't. I feel like that's where the ego gets really involved, is when you start kind of overly identifying with your alters. I feel like that's a recipe for destruction. I feel like it just. To me, it doesn't feel right. That's all I can really say.
It's you, but it's not necessarily you. It's like you at a fractured point in time. So, the decisions that person makes aren't necessarily something that you would make, because you're in a totally different situation as well.
Indeed.
So, it's pretty wild.
What's up?
Nothing. So, yeah, let's see. Now, as far as the childhood abductions go, you remember the stuff coming out the walls, and you remember the obelisk or stretch pyramid type ship. Anything else from childhood as far as abductions go?
I still get a very strong emotional reaction when it's like I remember grays being super close to my face. And I've had other regressions that have kind of brought some of that stuff up. So I definitely was taken by the grays at certain times. Some of the other weird things, like from my childhood, is that, remember I was talking about these certain pastures that I would always avoid.
Right.
It's had me just walking, because a lot of times beings would come out and greet me, like almost saluting to me as I walked up, which I feel like that's kind of why I don't remember these very well, because it gets really weird.
Were they cow pastures?
Yeah, they're just one was a field, just a cornfield, and then one was just a pasture. But I'd always, after school, I would always go out benching around, and that's when they would pick me up.
You didn't pick any mushrooms, did you? No.
Not at that.
I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding.
But no, not at that age. but yeah, that was yeah, I'm not sure what to make of that. I'm not sure. For a long time, I thought that they were trying to they were using me to house one of these interdimensionals. Like they were gearing me up to be a host for something else.
Like a Jaffa or something. You know, you gotta get your prim top.
Uh, Creed Jaffa, yeah. I
Hmm.
mean that's yeah. Let's hope not, but yeah, something like that. Honestly, I mean I felt like yeah, something like that.
So a lot of people talk about getting, you know, parasitic energy beings removed through different methods. Have you ever had anything like that
Oh yeah,
attempted?
whole bunch of that. I do my own. I mean, I've learned from Lynn Williams, I think her name is. She taught me how to remove implants, and I've been doing that for a long time because I have a background in energy work. So yeah, I mean that's kind of a daily. I mean, I do it all the time. It's kind of a daily thing.
So what would you how would you describe an energetic implant?
Well, for me, it seems like it's usually attached to a certain emotion or some sort of um, kind of a weird feeling that you just have all the time that you don't quite ever process. That's just always there, kind of running in the background. And if you can get to that feeling, that trauma, or even a thought pattern that's creating that, then it kind of loses its power. And at that point, it's like your mind is able to, like you've identified it with your mind, and you're then able to remove it. And it's been, I mean, it gets really weird because it goes into this whole weird astral world, and I'm not sure what to make of that. But yeah, I've, on that plane, I've experienced. I mean, I've been attacked by quite a few of the different beings out there.
Hmm.
Whatever. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't know if that's just our minds making things easier, giving us a way to process it, or you know, or we're actually seeing these crazy, or this is happening somewhere out there in the quantum, you know, flux or whatever, you know.
Okay, so now do you I mean, you know, while we're there, we might as well continue. Is remote viewing or astral projection something that you can do that you pick? What type of skills did you pick up out of these programs? Any that you can remember?
I mean, nothing. A lot of. I mean, one of the things I really struggle with is, and hopefully I'm wrong. I hope this isn't what happened, but I used to experience other people's deaths a lot as a child, where I would basically feel them choking to death. And it wasn't like people were choking them; they were just dying, and I would feel them die and literally like see the darkness and have to like pull myself out of it, like stop wanting to live and kind of let myself die and go with that.
Wow, that's
And
scary.
So you would say probably an empath.
well, I think I was actually killing them.
Oh, you
My
were killing them. Well,
Yeah,
that's not.
and
That's not.
that's kind of
Why
what.
you? That's no.
Do you
Don't
think
do
that you
that.
were used? Do you think that you were used as a psychic weapon of some sort? Like, do you think that perhaps they had you, using your mental abilities to cause bodily harm to other things?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's where I'm at, and I hope that's not the case. But I think that is what happens because I can feel like a well of souls that because I feel like even though I was in an altar, it was such a crazy traumatic thing that it's still like the experience still bled over to me.
Hmm.
And I think that the reason why I'm empathic is because they stuck me with the empathy so that my altars wouldn't have that. And so yeah, I think that's. I mean, I don't know, but that's kind of what I've been thinking. What was going on because I mean I would wake up and just be so ashamed and it was just horrible. And that was really rough time for me. That's when I And that's when I'm gonna ask God to kill me at that point.
Yeesh. Well, glad you're having this conversation with us now.
Yeah. Well, God didn't kill me, so I actually took that as a sign that I was supposed to be here. So, um, that's kind of the story on that.
So we talked about earlier, before the show, your upbringing, Catholic upbringing. You went to Catholic school, and you told me a little story about testing and stuff. Would you mind walking through that again?
Sure. I was second grade, and they gave us a bunch of these tests. They said it was like a competition, and a lot of it was just kind of basic math and reading skills. And one of them happened to be a number sense. It was called number sense, and it was being able to do math in your head. And I guess I did pretty well at it, and I made it to like the regionals competition. And when I left, I left in a white van, and I just remembered it stuck out of my mind because it was one of the first times I ever remember being away from my family or away from anyone I knew for such a long period of time. And we got to this brick building in a couple of towns away, and I don't remember. I remember walking up to that building, and I don't remember anything after that. And I have very little memories of what happened in second grade after that. So it's kind of a not sure what happened. And then I had a stomach ulcer kind of in that same age. So I'm guessing that might be a time when I had some sort of 20 and back or 40 back or whatever it was.
Where they returned you?
Yeah. For some reason, I get a military vibe from it. I don't know why, but that seems, I do. It doesn't really make any, I mean, it's like I knew that guy was actually military that was driving me, you know? So, but yeah, that was, like I said, I don't remember what happened at much of second grade at all after that, except for the same person that gave me the test the first time. Like when she came back, I saw her and completely freaked out and started crying and ran out of the room, and my mom had to come get me because I was so upset. So I don't know why I would do that or freak out that bad, but it's kind of, I feel like it's associated with whatever happened to me at that brick building.
Yeah, I mean, and I wonder if, see, a lot of people come back from that and have were your parents very religious? I mean, were they strict Catholics?
Well, I mean, I used to be taken to the temple a lot too with a lot of my family is in Freemasons. So that's why I thought, I mean, for the longest time, I thought this was all MK Ultra stuff. And I was really freaked out that I was going to get a phone call and somebody would say some weird shit, and then I'd turn into, you know.
You see some stupid little internet cartoon, and the next thing you know, you're at the school or whatever.
Right, like walking outside. Some madness, and that really freaked me out. So I really went hard after that and was hoping that wasn't the case, because I also have memory of a satanic ritual abuse. So that's kind of, and that's a memory, and I didn't know what to make of it until my sister remembered it also, and so that really made me pause.
Now, do you remember the setting? Was that like an abduction scenario, or was that something that happened through church?
It happened in the backyard of my house. And that's because my sister remembers these people walking in, and just like I did.
Right. So your parents were involved in this then?
I highly doubt it. If they are, they're total sleepers. Don't know, like not completely altered. I really don't think so.
So what do you think? Did they put them to sleep and then have the ritual in your back? I mean,
Dude, I have no idea. I really don't, man. It had a weird, I just don't know. I don't know if it was an astral experience. I don't know if that was some sort of virtual reality thing that they implanted but somehow my sister picked up on it too. So I'm not sure. But yeah, they totally walked into the back, and I remember being in the middle of the circle, and they sacrificed a dog above me and all kinds of crazy shit.
Well, Freemasonry is similar to some brands of Satanism.
Indeed, yeah.
So
No, that's why. I mean, I really thought hard about like how much my family is involved, and if they were, they're amazing at hiding it. But everybody, I only have a couple of relatives left, so I don't really have anybody to ask anymore. But yeah, I mean, they could have been. I really doubt it. It's such a small town. I just don't know how you could get away with being satanic like that. And my dad just didn't have that vibe. I mean, I know he just didn't have it. I mean, I think my mom was when she talks about, like, she's like, oh, I was never abducted, but I did have these little like elves that would come and take me at night. I'm like, like, okay,
That's
Mom.
kind of what that means.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the level of. I'm definitely the only one that kind of even goes into this at all. Everybody else is very just like,
Right. So your sister never came up with anything, abductions or anything like that. Just this ritual abuse.
Well, I mean, she did mention that. She said she remembered that, but she didn't know what to make of it because it didn't make any sense to her. How could these people just come in our backyard?
Yeah, and so did they do something with her too, or did she just kind of like saw it?
I don't think she was involved. I don't. I mean, everything I've gotten is that she's not in the programs like I am. And she's never had a bunch of false pregnancies or anything like that. So I don't know if they're using her like they use, like the Greys use other women.
So now, do you think these Greys that were abducting you think those were a separate species, or a lot of people say that most of the Greys are like biological robots?
No, they were definitely being ordered around by that beaked thing.
It wasn't blue, was it?
No, I mean, the only thing it kind of looks like is something Sumerian, with the.
So it was like the beak was hooked?
Yeah, hooked beak.
Was it more like a turtley beak or like a parrotty beak?
It was
I'm sorry.
in between. I'm like,
I was just.
It was a little bit longer. I mean, it kind of looked like an eagle, honestly, more eagle-ish.
Gotcha.
That's what the beak looked like. But they were disgusting creatures. I mean, they looked sickly. Like
Did they say where they were from, or?
Oh no, they never. I don't remember ever. It's weird. Like even at the cloning centers, like I know that by the silhouettes that there were celebrities there, but I could never see their face. I could only recognize them by their silhouettes. They somehow were able to completely black out their image. It's like they cut off that part of my brain, like the facial recognition part, or whatever. I don't know how they do it.
I have really bad facial recognition software too, actually.
So the cloning centers is something we were talking about earlier. I don't think that actually we were talking about that on air. So now this is something that's more current, right? Some place you find yourself waking up at in what you suspect is a Kruger altar.
Honestly, the way if there's any kind of weird perverted vibe, then it's Monarch, because they not only they trying to break you, they're trying to mess you up too. Like there's a weird.
Okay, so the cloning center memories are older.
Yeah, those are from like when I was a kid fighting in the.
Oh, okay, that was my mistake then. I thought.
No, it's all good. I mean, it's good Lord. How can you keep it? Why can't you keep all this together? But no,
I learned it from you.
But yeah, I mean, the cloning centers. That's where I felt like I got trained, and that's where they broke me.
Mm-hmm. Now, was it? I know it's probably hard to talk about, but was it like a typical?
A typical day would be me not wanting what they would do. Then they would threaten to kill people, and then I'd finally give in. And
so it was violence towards others and not towards you.
Well, sometimes it was. I mean, if a lot of times, if like when I would be obstinate, they would just kill me. straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what it would torture then? I'm assuming.
That they like to electrocute me. That was they still do that. Um, but yeah, a lot of electrocution, a lot of just like cutting off your arm, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
This brutal like things, and you're like, oh my god, I'm dying for real, and then they just stick you in another body, and you don't even remember what the game is.
So,
So
do you think the whole resleeving thing from there's a show that came out recently called Altered Carbon, where people are able to basically come back in a new body, and they call it resleeving. So that's really a thing.
if yeah, I mean, I think honestly, I think they have time travel. I think literally the cloning centers is where the word hell comes from. Like I feel like that's where, like, if they had time travel, they could probably taken people from way back when, and fucking with them too, just because they're sick fucks. So, yeah, honestly, I think that's where hell comes from. Is honestly the cloning centers, because that's where all this crazy torture that never ends. Like that's where it happens. I mean, that's what. I mean, it's. I know that sounds crazy, but
do you suspect that these are the same cloning centers that people talk about on Mars, involved with the ICC?
I'm sure it's the same tech. Yeah, I mean, I think that
I think it's
whatever.
the same, I think it's on Mars.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure. I mean, this seems to be this network. Seems to be like a network. That these guys are all connected to. This is so yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be the same. And they would want a station so they could just transmit your consciousness into that. So people that on Earth didn't have to actually physically travel through space. I mean, I think there's a show called Dark Matter, kind of has the same kind of thing.
Yeah, the blink drive.
The blink drive, and they also had the clone.
Yeah.
To clone and then walk around. But if you didn't. If you didn't,
what's it? Transfer transit.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that would be really cool. I'd love to have that. Somebody.
That's pretty much the cloning center. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. Where,
wow.
And it like from Donald Marshall, what he says, it started as a secret place where they could meet and meet in private, where they could actually communicate, without worry of it being compromised. And then after that, once they, and now it's like. I mean, it got into the whole celebrity cloning thing, which is, you have to sign away your body at night in order to get a contract and all that good stuff. So then, all these disgusting, people can use you and all that good stuff.
Wow.
I mean, that's Donald Marshall's
That's
seal.
fucked up, man.
Written you out for a night or two on Epstein's Island.
You and that fucking island, Dan. Are you gonna move there or what?
No, I'm saying I want to see fucking heads roll over it.
Yeah, it'd be nice, but fuck.
That's something that people really should be pissed off about.
Yeah, it's weird how that just no one ever speaks about that place.
Just swept right under the fucking rug, man.
Ugh.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the pedo stuff.
Well, especially knowing that people on both sides of the political aisle have been there. You know what I mean? Like Trump's been there, Clinton's been there. All sorts of rich and powerful elite bastards from both sides of the political spectrum have been there.
Well, it just goes into this weird, like, satanic, interdimensional, weird shit that's going on that seems really unbelievable. But when you actually look at their practices, they're totally doing all this crap.
Yeah, and they're hiding it right in plain sight, too.
Doing it right in plain sight and feeding off chaos magic and all the other god.
Well, chaos magic's not all bad. But
I'm just saying, like the way in which they're, promote these huge, like pop songs and all this crap, right. It's like all these big energy generators,
Yeah, see, I think that same chaos magic can be used to take down the elites.
I think he was saying like chaos, magic.
Yeah,
chaos magic.
Not picking on chaos magicians at all. I mean,
Settle down, Dan.
We're all kind of chaos magicians in a way.
Pretty much.
If we're manifestors at all, if you believe that, then we're all kind of doing it.
Yeah, and every tradition borrows something from others.
Totally. No, I don't mean to call that out. I mean it like that. It's just more, the order out of chaos, I guess, would be the better term.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, yeah, and somebody pointed out, like, it's funny because I saw this discussion in a group that I was in not too recently, and it was talking about Discordianism and how somebody says you can't, all the original Discordians were anarchists. You can't be any kind of authoritarian and call yourself a Discordian. And so then it comes down to this big, fuss over, the left wants to paint libertarians as authoritarian or authoritarian enablers. And, of course, the libertarian side of the spectrum wants to paint the left as the authoritarians and authoritarian enablers.
No, that seems to be the main. I mean, control. Like that seems to be the main thing around this. I mean, it's either interdimensional control or whatever. I mean, it definitely seems to be a major part in this. Even creating all these altars and all this crap, they love their control. I mean, they're obsessed with it. They cannot stand just organic, kind of normal,
so
letting things grow.
Obviously, we're not holding your feet to the fire and expecting some kind of, end-all answer, but what the hell you think is going on, man? Like, what is, like, the overall picture here? I mean, is humanity, at the beckon of an interdimensional race, or is there a extraterrestrial war going on, so all the secrecy, or, I mean, like, what do you think is like the overall picture of this?
Well, I mean, I'm going to have a whole lot of different theories. I mean, I do feel like there is a war in heaven for whatever. I do feel like there is a war in heaven. And I do think it is mainly kind of a control versus free will, or belief that there is an original intention in creation, and that's been somehow subverted. And I feel like there's forces that are trying to, just like anything, there's forces taking it off that track, and then there's forces trying to put it back on that track. And it's kind of where, I mean, it just kind of depends on where you fall and what you believe in, which side you play on.
Right.
Just to sum it up super fast. I mean, as to like yes, they're I mean, even to the point that I feel like there's good factions within the SSP, within the ICC or whatever. I feel like there are decent human beings that don't want this to continue. And honestly, I think the reason I believe that is because I feel like some of the people like me that were taken as a kid and been used our whole lives, now we're in more of the authority position, and I don't think we really want to keep doing things the way we're doing it. So that's that seems to be, like, from my recent recalls, that there seems to be actions going that way.
All right. Well, I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a short break, and then when we get back, we're gonna go. You sent me some pictures of some injuries you received, and maybe we'll get into that, go over that a little bit, and talk about stuff that's happening currently with you, as far as nobody's saying this is exactly what it is, but something weird is going on, and that's what we're going to talk about. So, open to interpretation however you want to. It's looking like could be this Kruger thing or Monarch thing, could be something completely different. I
mean, I'll tell you, it's all tell. You can believe it or not. I mean, I will tell you what I've experienced. I will tell you when I found other people that are sharing the same recalls. I mean, that's because I would love to have way more confirmation. Like that's kind of what or corroboration or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to give you a platform and, let you tell it the way, you can tell us your truth, and our audience gets to decide what they think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it out there, man. And the more stories, the easier I think it becomes to kind of get a bigger picture and kind of piece things together and be like, find the common threads and kind of sew them together to weave a tapestry of woe. But, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and jump to that break, and then, like I said, we'll get back, we'll get into all of that, and then we'll open up the lines again at the end of the show, like, maybe 9:30ish or something, for those of you who may have some questions for Will. Also, we have the lovely YouTube chat. You can drop some questions in there. We'll most likely see them. If not, you could, I don't know if it's going on Facebook right now or not. We've been having an issue with that, but we'll see you when we get back, guys. Hey guys, we are back for hour 2, the hour of power. Oh, we didn't do any bumper music, man. What is that? Well, you guys just listened to that song on loop for like 10 minutes, so haha. That's all the bumper you can handle. So anyway, we are Reality Brief.
Bumper.
We are Reality Brief. This is hour 2. We're joined with by Will Glover. You know, if you like what's going on here, you could join our Facebook group, click to subscribe, do all that stuff. Give us some money, whatever. All right.
You know, if you really like what we're doing,
I really get sick of this shit, man.
If you really, all right, well, let me shill for us shamelessly for a moment. If you really like what we're doing, check out our Bandcamp. We do have a Reality Brief Bandcamp. You can download one of our MP3s and pay whatever you want for it. You could get it for free, you know, and just exploit us. Like, you know, we I understand. Or, you know, you could toss us 50 cents, maybe a buck.
Hey, whatever, man. Well, you know, every little penny goes to upgrading this rig, so pretty soon we'll be able to 3D print Will Glover next to us if you keep donating them 50-cent bits.
Yeah, we'll be able to project holograms of our guests straight into your brain.
What happened?
I don't know. What are you doing? You broke it.
It's broken. Who's that?
You broke the giggle machine. You broke the giggle machine.
All right, so Will, man, sorry for all that nonsense. Will, is that what is going on?
Huh? What?
Huh? Okay, so right, the new stuff. You sent me these pictures of an injury or blah blah. You got burned, guy. You got burned.
Yeah.
So tell me the story about over this, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this up on the screen for everybody if I could figure out how to do that. There we go.
Well, this was like probably a couple months into me kind of delving into all this, my abductions and trying to figure out what's been happening with me. And it was actually the day after my birthday, and I had a experience where I was on a ship. I knew I was in space. I could see space outside, and I was all by myself, and it really weirded me out because usually when I'm on a ship, I'm always just usually somebody escorting you or something. And I remember looking around and being like, huh, that's weird. I'm by myself. And that was pretty much it. The next morning I woke up and about 6 and went and let my chickens out and fed my dogs. And all of a sudden, like, I see a black helicopter, and it's about, I mean, it was maybe 15 feet above the tree line. It did 3 circles over my house. My dogs and chickens are all barking and scrambling like crazy. And then it just hung out for about 30 minutes, kind of close to my house. And when I finally went inside to get a camera, that's when he took off. And yeah, then the next day, I woke up with those burns that I guess you get a picture up of.
Yeah, I just was showing the helicopter, and now here we go.
Yeah.
So, man, I mean, you know, my first assumption when you told me the story and I'm looking at the pictures, I'm thinking some kind of directed energy weapon, maybe. But like, oh, what the fuck is the point of that, you know? And you said that you had a recall, right?
Well, that was the first time that I've had this current altar that I've been in touch with or getting recalls from. That was the first time that night on that ship by myself. That was the first time that I felt like that I connected to that altar. So it makes me think that was in retaliation for that, or something along, or I guess one could say that, or the timing of it is interesting.
Or you know, just throwing it out there. I don't know shit about nothing. Maybe it's some kind of, maybe they punished your altar for contacting you, and it somehow transferred over to you, quantumly or whatever. I mean, shit, we're talking about time travel and shit. Why not?
Well, especially if DNA is, you know, made of light, and light can be quantum entangled.
Well, that could definitely be the case, because that's somebody else told me that they thought that I had gotten whipped. Like, that's what they thought that had happened to me somehow. Like, that's what they saw, was I was getting whipped. So yeah, I mean, that could definitely have been the case. Did
you have any type of like When did you feel any sensations when the helicopter was around? Did you get any type of like voices in your head? Anything like out of the ordinary other than the helicopter just
Nothing,
kind of flying around?
nothing besides a helicopter. I mean, there was no voices, nothing strange, nothing whatsoever. Every time I've seen probably on 5 different occasions a black helicopter, and I've never heard voices or anything weird like that. It's all just been a helicopter that doesn't have any markings, and I can't quite place the model.
And you, at that point, you had not become public yet, right?
Well, no, I had become public because that's when I had that DOD private contractor guy approach me, and I was getting kind of afraid for my life. So I did make some videos saying that I wasn't going to commit suicide or anything like that.
Well, now this is a new one on me, man. Would you mind expanding a little bit on the DOD guy?
Yeah, I mean, I was at work. I work as a massage therapist, and I had my first regression therapist session on that Thursday. I had made the appointment on a Friday before that, and that next Saturday I meet this guy. Let's call him Mr. Brown. That's my nickname for him. And he approached me and he said that he was a private contractor from the DOD that was in town to run a test. And he mentioned that 3 times, and I was like, okay, because I just thought it was just another client. I'm not thinking conspiratorial. Just another client, like just somebody getting a massage. And I didn't think anything of it. There was no reason there's just no reason for it. So yeah, the whole crazy story. It's a kind of a long one, but more of the story is he came back right after my first hypnosis session and made it very clear that he had been out to my house, and then said that, he's like, I didn't have a childhood like yours, and I hadn't mentioned a single thing about my childhood. And at that point, I knew that something was up, and so.
Yeah, that would scare me a little bit too, I think, man.
Yeah, well, it was weird because I went, I was giving him a massage, and he was laying on his stomach, and I was kind of bending down to get a better angle on his leg, and I guess he thought I was going for something because he jumped up, butt naked off the table, and I didn't really want to see anything, so I got and I reared his arm back like this, and I'm like, holy crap, this guy is about to hit me. So I put my arm up, so I'm shielding myself from seeing his junk, and then trying to shield myself from him hitting me at the same time. I'm like, whoa, 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 trying to diffuse the situation, and he just sighs. He's like, ugh, and then just gets back on the table, and I continue doing the massage like nothing happened. I mean, the weirdest thing ever. And then after that, I still see him probably every month and a half. I'll come by work. So yeah, I kind of have this stalker guy. Which
has he ever said anything else to you about it? What was a typical session? He just comes in and gets the massage and leaves.
Well, he doesn't. He actually comes and gets his haircut now. He doesn't. He doesn't see me. He doesn't. I don't think he can handle being that vulnerable again.
Get your hands off the junk.
Yeah, pretty much.
We need that sample, Dan, from Idiocracy.
But yeah, he definitely. It was really strange to me because I got the feeling that he was scared of me, and I didn't understand why this guy would be scared of me. I don't have a record. I'm not a violent person. I just didn't understand. I was like, why is this guy afraid of me? He literally is scared of me. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, that's what kind of led me to maybe I am being used and all this other stuff, because why would they spend resources on spying nobody out in rural Arkansas? It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's been a current theme where I wrote a blog about that experience, and he showed up later that day after I published it.
Really?
He does. It's weird. It's weird.
Have you ever thought about just following his ass and trying to freak him out, or is it just not even worth fucking with?
Well, the second massage after when he kind of blew his cover after that point, I had a black Suburban follow me home.
Oh.
And I out rural, so I would know if somebody's following me, because there's no reason to go down this road and turn around. And then a couple days after that, I was on it's weird. It's hard to explain, but situations, it's like all of a sudden your senses are heightened, and like you can. I felt danger in the air, and I saw these 3 cars coming towards me, and they all three started coming into my lane at the same time, and I just basically pulled over as quick as I could and got as far off the road as I could, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if they were I didn't know what was going on. So at that point, I was kind of leery about getting too proactive, and my whole point was I didn't want to seem like a threat.
Right.
I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want them to think that I was a threat in any way, because I live by myself out in the woods. I just didn't want to. I just didn't want to get suicidal.
Right.
So,
No, that's understandable, man. I'm so unpredictable, man. I might run away and cower in fear, or I might be like, "Hey!" You know what I mean? There's no telling, man. There's some shit like that happened to me. Gosh, I couldn't even imagine, man.
Yeah,
It must be freaky as hell.
Well, it was weird. And like, I went out to L.A. And I filmed a UFO kind of abduction TV show that's never been published. And when I got back, there was a brass knuckle on my front steps of my porch. So, there's definitely.
Crazy.
I'm just like, whatever. It's not stopped me, so I don't. I don't know what. Whatever. If it's such a big deal, just debrief me. Like, just that's what I keep telling them.
Yeah, I used to be a bit of an activist back in the day, and I've been arrested by the military, Secret Service, like you name it, man. And that is frightening enough, knowing the circumstances and everything's nice, earthy. You know what I mean? Like, something like that would just be fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, like I had his name, and I searched his name on the computer at work, because I didn't want to do it at my home or with anything in mind. And he showed up later that day. So
wow,
it's.
So you think
it's
that's your
weird.
handler?
I don't know. I don't remember him saying a bunch of weird words or anything kind of code to trigger me.
Right. Well, he wouldn't necessarily have to do that, I guess.
Yeah. I think he's more of a. I think he's. Yeah. I guess in a way he could be a handler. I think he's more just kind of a surveillance than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've never. Like I said, I've always been very courteous and like not try to be a threat, because I just, like I said, I don't want to be suicidal. So.
Right.
As crazy as that sounds,
I guess just the intimidation factor. Why? They can watch you through your fucking Wi-Fi. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What's the need to send somebody unless it's something like that, intimidation, or maybe, who knows, man? Maybe he is giving you a trigger word, but you just don't remember.
Yeah, I just don't. I think. Maybe I've got to a point where I can break it. I don't know, or maybe I have an altar from this other Kruger,
I don't know,
whatever
man.
thing
It's
blocked it all.
It's a crazy mystery, though, man. Like, why would they do something like that?
That's why I entertain all this SSP stuff, because I'm like, okay, well, if I'm just a normal abductee, I thought maybe I'm a hybrid, like maybe I'm part alien or some shit, and that's what he's freaked out, that I'm an alien or something. I don't know.
From what you were saying earlier about when you were a child, if any of that is in your record, I think he'd probably be freaked out.
Yeah, I think so. He was definitely afraid of me. And like I told him, I was like, well, have a good weekend. And he looked at me like, oh shit, like I had just threatened him. I'm like, no, dude, I'm just telling you, have a good weekend. I'm not, there's nothing nefarious here, you know? So
didn't say have a good weekend and go home and choke on a steak and die, you know? Like,
I have done a little bit of my own surveillance. Like I know what car he drives, and I have his license plate number and that stuff. But that's just
right.
And he totally saw me filming his ass too. So
right,
we both know we both know I mean, it's so strange. I mean, we act like we don't know what's going on, but it's so weird. I mean, it's so like, yeah, it's really strange because, yeah, I mean, he even the other day he was getting his haircut and this brought up aliens out of the blue and started talking about aliens. You know, like.
So, I gotta wonder, like, what is the social life at the office like for those guys? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know, I had eyes on Will today. He tried to grab my jank. I had to give him the 1-2. You know, like, how does somebody even, like, I don't know. I just can't comprehend why you would even want to do something like that. I mean, they must have some kind of crazy, like, I'm saving the universe to watch you.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like,
if you've done any research into the targeted individual, like there seems to be these, like in every town or whatever, there's like there's a contractor available that can provide surveillance or harassment or whatever.
Right. Yeah, but this guy's DOD, so we're not talking wagon hut here.
Yeah, well, he says a private contractor from the DOD, so he might.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
my mistake.
He could, yeah.
He
well,
could be wagon hut.
I mean.
Or Blackwater or whatever, man. I mean, I wonder if Blackwater has any involvement. I mean, is it deep black enough? You know what I mean? Like, is Blackwater
I definitely think
involved?
GS or Black Hut is totally involved. I think they supply the main security to some of these secret facilities. Yeah, and I think it's probably an ICC related thing where the ICC wants to keep tabs on what's going on there. You know, because I mean, the thing is, like, it's all this spy versus spy shit. I mean, it's
and
ridiculous. Where
it makes me wonder, you know, the ICC, do they even call themselves that, or is that just a name that was given to them, kind of like Cabal, or
I think, I'm sure that's our name for them. I'm sure they have their own name.
I wonder how exactly that works. It's just a bunch of separate corporations. Like,
I've been wondering for the longest time, if you wanted to track down a paper trail for companies like Monarch or Kruger here on Earth, where would you even start?
Yeah, like what would be their front company on the planet? Like, would they even have one?
Or are they just the ones sitting right in plain sight, like Raytheon and Northrop Grumman?
I think they use the energy companies. I think that's a big part of it.
Right.
Because they're all over the place and they got plenty of money, and it just seems like they're connected with the intelligence agency somehow, or maybe through the banks too. They all seem to be one weird cabal.
Yeah.
Which goes back to the Kabbalah, which that word goes back to the Kabbalah, which would go back to even the tree of life and all that stuff that the magic that the Masons use. So
well, that stuff is like pretty much the foundation of all Western magic, going back to Merkaba mysticism.
And they say that that's held over knowledge from pre-flood era civilizations.
Yep.
Well, and I mean, like there's a lot of correspondences too between Kabbalism. Well, to me, what I think is neat about Kabbalah is that it's kind of where East meets West tradition-wise. Like, you can see how it relates to the Buddhic and Vedic traditions, but you can see how it branched out and formed the basis for Christianity later on too.
There's some interesting parallels between Chinese medicine and Western magic also. Like the 5-element theory, all kinds of interesting things.
Yeah, the whole earth, fire, water, wood, metal always tripped me out because it's like, where's air? Like,
fire.
Yes, chi.
Yeah,
chi is air.
Yeah.
So, that's right. We wanted to talk about the ongoing programs.
Yes, now. All I can say is this altar is not like the altar I had when I was a kid, when I was doing my missions. Like, I had no personality. I was basically a robot just doing things. This altar actually has a personality. He just seems like a military dude, has a sense of humor and everything. I don't get the crazy psychopathic vibe from him that I would think that. I mean, I was expecting my SSP memories to be completely horrible and all this crazy stuff, and it really hasn't been. I mean, it's been like, a couple of different people where I've had recalls where it's been us laughing or us joking or, being in a relationship. Nothing like what I thought it would be.
Right.
Nothing like what I did.
So perhaps you were in something like Solar Warden that wasn't quite as, fascistic as Nachtwaffen, for instance.
That's kind of where I'm going. I mean, that's where I think. I mean, honestly, I think that Solar Warden created Kruger to kind of be a counterpart to Monarch.
So do you think
that's my thesis?
Yeah. Do you think that like Solar Warden, the people in Solar Warden are in these clone bodies, or you think that?
I don't know, because I think there are actually real people up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that have maybe died or they faked their death and they're up there full time. I've definitely met some people that I think that have relatives and things that I think that happened to. So yeah, I think it can be a multitude of things. I don't think everybody can do the cloning thing super easy. Like, I think that just like anything, I think that's a skill that some people are better at than others. So I don't know if like everybody can do the cloning thing.
Right, maybe it's some kind of prerequisite genes or something like that you might need.
Well, that and just you have to be really flexible with your spirit, I mean, I think that there's something to do with that. I mean, they use me for, apparently, other interdimensional travel. So apparently that's not that big a deal for me to be able to do that. And that kind of goes into them taking star seeds and all that other stuff. If you believe that, or it's just a genetic thing.
So I've talked to people who say that they have several alters in that system. Now, is it just the one, or is there more that you know
of? Just the one that I know of right now. But yes, I do think that I've had multiple alters. Yeah. I think that they basically, from what I've read about MK Ultra and all that, it's basically they set up a grid. I mean, it's like a bunch of different things. So like you have an altar that's like the sex kitten. You have an altar that's the assassin. And those are different altars altogether. And when they dissociate you, like for me, they put me in a tank and I drown, and then they'd get me to dissociate, and then they would plug in a whole new thing, a new altar that had a specific set of skills. Like I mentioned the psychic, killing and all that. I've also had recalls where they used me to look to the future. So it seems to be where it's like they're trying to get these they're trying to get it really clean where they can just alter you and you're automatically like 100% into that one specific ability.
It's fucked up, man. And I wouldn't imagine that you had agreed to this. I mean, with your first memory of being, hey, don't send me back to that fucking hellhole.
No, yeah, definitely don't remember, bringing home mom, a permission slip or anything like that. No, I the best I can tell this is some family karmic thing, because my family's actually like I did some ancestry stuff, and I go back to like my family got here in like 1620, and it's been basically every Glover that that's ever been here has come from the same guy that I'm related to. And yes, he would be one of the slaves that my ancestor. Yeah. So, yeah, all the Glovers, every black Glover is my fault somehow. Whatever. But I mean, that's. I'm pretty sure that throughout time. I mean, I'm sure that my family's. I mean, they've definitely been involved with the Masons, so I'm sure that there's been all kinds of pacts have been made over the years. I think that's where they got me from.
So would that be the Scottish Rite brand, or is that like what?
That's what I remember going to. I mean, that's where my grandfather would take me, was the Scottish Rite.
so that would be the one that was populated by Templars.
Right. And I've actually got a vibe that the current that Kruger's involved with the Templars somehow.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean I don't know how that works, but that's the vibe I got.
It's been coming back lately. Templars been coming up, and I don't,
Yeah.
it's something. But I mean, it
Yeah,
all gets traced back to the same, like we were just talking to the Kabbalah, and
yeah, it still goes back to
Gnostic
Solomon's Temple
ideas and all that, and then that comes from before. So it's pretty interesting, man. It's a wild damn ride. If you think about it too hard, your brain will fucking explode.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you meet an Archon, you kind of like, huh, okay. I mean, it's not just reptilians and that. There's other creatures out there that don't have our best interests at heart.
Yeah.
So that will come up once you start getting into all this. So it's not just. I mean, there's much worse things, unfortunately, out there.
Mm-hmm. So, one of these current missions, to walk me through like what a typical mission would be like.
Well,
as much as you can remember, anyway.
Well, the one that was mostly like I feel like is the best in a way is because Rochelle. I mean, she did such a great job remote viewing it, and then she got some things right that there's no way she would have known that beforehand. And this is related. We all three had a dream that we were infiltrating an underground base, and it was really fancy. And the whole point of it was to basically to stop this one nuclear weapon that they had there. We're trying to get this nuke out of there, right? Mm-hmm. And we have emails talking about it, and one of our other friends down there was also having recalls with it, and we. It was interesting. I'm definitely in a bigger body than I am now, way better in shape. But yeah, I mean, I'm a soldier. I mean, I look like I'm ready for battle in the recalls, and so basically, right after that, I started being led to research the Getty Museum in L.A. And this was right during when all the fires were going on. When we were having these recalls, and then I'd listen to this one guy, what's his name? Oh man, Steven something, but he's done a bunch of research on there being a big underground base underneath the Getty Museum in LA. And if you've ever been out there, it's like on top of a hill where there's nothing else. It's like the big mountain that kind of divides LA, and this beautiful, like crazy $2 billion museum that you can't park within like half a mile of. And apparently like there's one wall you walk through, there's machine guns like lining on the other side of a one-way mirror, where they're waiting for people, and apparently this is the entrance to a major underground city there.
Wow, that's far out.
And it's lined with weapons?
Well, that one hallway is, because it's like a choke point that goes into a nuclear blast door. And the nuclear weapon is put there so that when shit hits the fan or whatever, they pull the switch, they're going to blow that nuke up, and that'll keep anybody from ever wanting to go near there, and they'll just stay underneath in that really, really, like, apparently it's really fancy. What's strange is, what makes me think of it is that he says that there's this beautiful golden spa when you first get there, and that's what Rochelle saw in a recall before this was even mentioned or thought of. So that was interesting. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And she even said that there's this is the crazy thing, that there's a bunch of remote viewers that are in pods, like this, floating around in pods that are, protecting the place psychically. And she described them, and so did this Steven guy. And it just was weird. I mean, I guess Rochelle could be just pulling my leg, but I just don't think that's
I don't know what she would really have to gain from that, man.
No, nothing at all. I mean, but yeah, that's one of them. And I mean, I remember even the spoils of that. Like, we were kind of, rejoicing that we were looking at all this cool stuff that we found down there in the underground city. We also have a joint recall of some sort of a portal open. I mean, this sounds so crazy, I know, but during that Atlanta blackout, the Atlanta airport blackout, because we had a dream a couple nights before that happened of us being in an underground base, and we were stopping this incursion event. Like a portal opened, and a bunch of higher dimensional, or I guess fourth dimensional, whatever, some sort of interdimensional being was trying to invade, and they were doing it by psychically attaching to people, and they were basically going to use the airport to spread across the entire world. And we teleported in and put a stop to it, closed the portal, and then went back and then left. So that's like I have no idea. So crazy. But yeah, go ahead.
So how does one go about closing an interdimensional portal?
Well, that's something that I can do. I don't know how I do it, but
Innately, like a power of the mind type thing.
Yeah, you just basically. I mean, you just focus on closing it, and it closes.
So
I mean,
no tech involved.
No tech involved. Not on that. Now that altar might be augmented with some sort of cyber something, but right. No, that was just with my mind. Because I'm actually. I mean, Rochelle was my guardian, and I was the transportation on that mission. I was the one who beamed us that put us in there, and I was the one that was supposed to close the portal.
The portal master then.
That's why I think, like I said, it's hard to believe all this because
I mean, I'm not, don't take me wrong, man. I'm not.
No, I know. I mean, it's hard for me I don't fucking know. So, I mean, this is what we've seen, and I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that's close the portal, and then stopped basically Archonic invasion, and then they shut basically one of the machines that we're using to go in there, like it killed all the power, and they had to evacuate the airport or whatever. So,
how often does something like this happen? I mean, not them scooping you up, but like, Archons flooding in through an interdimensional rift trying to piggyback on the airlines. I mean,
that was the one. That's the only time I've ever since that happened. I mean, the other recall was it's been more recent, and that was actual a very large battle in space, and it involved multiple planets and a bunch of fleets. I mean, a huge. This is why I thought there's got to be somebody else that remembers something like this, because this was a huge operation, reaching a bunch of people, a bunch of ships. There was like 12 different fronts where we were fighting, because I had a recall of us landing on like a bunch of people landing, ships landing, mechs and people coming out of ships, and then I also had a recall after that of being in a ship on orbit, and I was looking at a screen or it was kind of a hollow table thing, and it had 12 different, there was 12 different places where battles were going on. And what I got from that is that was kind of some of the factions declaring war on the other factions, and we were taking out some of the cyborg facilities, because that's where their manpower is going to be. That's what we're going to be fighting. So that was our number one priority, was to take that out.
So was that? Do you know if that was in the solar system?
That was multiple solar systems.
So this one and other ones, or just other
ones? I don't. Yeah, and other one. I don't know for sure. Whatever planet I landed on, it wasn't Earth, and we weren't wearing. It was an oxygen breathing planet, and we weren't wearing gear. So I don't know if it was Mars per se, but it seemed like we were far away. I can kind of tell how far and away Alter Broseph is. That's my nickname for him, because I don't, not to take it too seriously. And so sometimes it's really grainy, sometimes it's not that grainy, and I can tell that, like, oh, he's pretty far away, or no, he's somewhat close. Like, so I know that sounds weird, but that's what I feel.
Okay, so have you ever had any dealings with what people are calling the Federation?
I mean, no, not like what people call the Federation. No, I mean, this is where kind of my story differs from let's say Corey Good, because he's talking about battles going on in space right now too, and Federation fighting the Illuminati and all that. I
think what he's saying is the Alliance.
Yeah, what's your take on
the Federation would be the alien species,
or the sphere being Alliance,
like the intergalactic UN. You know,
I've never had dealings with them, and everything I get from my altar is that this is actually, I mean, this is humans on humans with a little bit of alien help. This isn't like a whole bunch of alien help with a little bit of human help fighting. Like it seems to be, this is like whatever crazy, like whatever is happening, if anything's happening up there, this was planned a long time ago. Like they were planning and plotting this rebellion, this civil war, or whatever the hell's going on up there for a long time. They wanted to get all their ducks in a row before it got hot. So they, like just a couple of days ago, I had a recall of, I saw a portal open in space and a missile come out and hit a planet, a blue planet, and the explosion, as it just began, was like an eighth of the entire planet. I mean, it definitely seemed like that planet was gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like I said, I don't know where this is coming from.
How fucked up is that? They just open a portal up and shoot a rocket through.
Well, and the thing is, I get the feeling that we were evacuating the planet. Like somehow we knew that was going to happen. So
that happened in Stargate a few times, didn't it?
What?
Yeah, they
sent a nuke or a planet killer through a Stargate and set it off.
Yeah, a lot of course, all those weird Stargate synchronicities. But yeah.
See, I think a lot of that was self-disclosure too.
It's possible. I mean, they had Air Force advisement.
Yeah, and that's what, the whole secret Earth military space program going on that nobody knew about.
Or was it Navy? It might have been Navy.
No,
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was Air Force.
It was Air Force and Stargate. Yeah. I mean, and they have to to use any of those facilities or even the name, they have to get permission.
Yeah, and then Solar Warden is Air Force.
No, Solar Warden is Navy.
Navy.
It is Navy?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what's the Air Force?
The Air Force is like the TR-6s.
Oh, okay.
It's like the lower level stuff.
Supposedly the Air Force is the Earth Defense Force, which is like this they kind of this local right within around Earth kind of deal.
Gotcha. Like
that's actually Kevin Trammell is the one who, it's from him. It's not from me. I mean,
that would be like Trebs and TR-6s and that type of thing.
Gotcha.
Like I don't know if you've been following
the teardrop shaped craft.
No, not the teardrop shaped craft. I don't know if you've been following Cosmic Disclosure at all. And Corey Good, he said he was getting picked up by some Air Force guys in a dart, is what he was calling them. But that would be the level that we're talking about here. Not quite on the same page as the Galactic Empire.
Gotcha.
Right.
But still thinking they're king shit. But not knowing any better.
Yeah, I get that the Nazis are pretty much like they're almost out of the solar system. Like they've got colonies other places, and they don't really, they're not here as much as they used to be.
Right.
Good.
That's just I mean, who knows? I mean, just saying, like that's what I get. That's what I get. That this has been like this. Whatever war we started was basically to stop the ICC and kind of stop some of the. I mean, not to be all hokey, but stop the human trading and also stop their supply of soldiers.
So
that would be nice if that were the case. I mean,
that would be awesome. I'd be proud to be in part of that fight if that was the case.
Yeah, seriously.
But I mean, my thing about it is, if they want us all that to stop, then why are they doing it? I mean, it seems to me like it's kind of convenient for this ruling group that has several factions to have one that says we're the good guys, but they're still doing all the same shit the bad guys are doing. You know what I mean? I don't know how you feel about that.
Take me and do all the crazy shit. Absolutely.
So I mean, like, how are they the good guys? Because they're against some other guys that are doing the same shit? I don't understand, man. I don't know how people go there, like, immediately. For me, I got to see something. I mean, like, did they tell you sorry? I mean, after they whipped you? I mean, what the fuck?
No, I like I said, I think there's some of the people that have been gone through it are getting in power, and they're slowly making steps to change things. And I mean, to the point where, like there's even like some of this disclosure stuff is, maybe a part of it, I mean, I've had a recall where I don't know if I was asleep or whatever, but I was totally in another body and I was working protection. I was guarding somebody. And there was a assassination attempt that I was a part of stopping. So I don't know how far it goes. I mean, I would love to say that Trump knows about this, and the reason why he got. I mean, part of my intuition goes there. It's like wants to think that the only reason that Trump got into power is that he made deals with some of these secret space programs, and that's his actual backing. Is some of the secret space programs, maybe even Solar Warden. Because I just don't know how he got elected without some serious backing. And yet I know, like we were saying earlier, I mean, he's paid out the banks. I mean, he's definitely not. I mean, there's definitely some things going on.
Yeah, that's why I have, if he is part of this alliance, as people are calling, the good guys or whatever.
He sure seems to like doing the bidding of the too big to fail banks.
That's what I'm saying, man. It just seems like it's just different factions of the same fuckwads, and then one of them had the clever idea.
What swamp? This is a federally protected wetland.
It seems one is like really AI integrated and the other one is not.
Yeah.
And so there is a free will aspect where I think one group's like, I would rather us keep free will than just being completely controlled by an AI.
No, I could see that, but because it definitely seems like one faction is real hard up on the AI shit and transhumanism. And I would call that more like the European, what did he call that shit? The European blue blood aristocracy, like the Committee of 300, that type of thing. And then there's like the more like I want to say the more U.S. faction that is more like real quick now blow shit up, and whereas the European faction kind of want to draws it out, but they seem to be more interested in the transhumanism thing. But, to me, it just seems like one of them felt like being clever and decided they were going to hide behind disclosure. But, I don't know shit about it, man. I fucking work on cars every day. I come home and I'm like, some crazy shit's going on. So, I don't take anything I'm saying as fucking fact. That's for sure.
I mean, I have the exact same reservations. Absolutely. I mean, because I don't want to be a cheerleader for this or give people false hope or anything like that. And like I said, someone could be playing me like a fiddle. I don't know. I mean,
could be playing all of us, man.
And that's kind of just what I'm saying. And the other thing is, there's other things that I'm not really comfortable talking about because I'm just not, because it's out there. But
right.
And these are other MILABS, and there are. I mean, we definitely seems to be like there's a plan. Like it's not, and it's not really a faction based. It's kind of a rebellion within the ranks kind of thing.
Man, I really do hope that is the case.
And the thing is, it involves like, I mean, where I get lost is like, because this involves like way higher beings. So that's where I get. I mean, it gets way out there, because we're there's certain. Some of us are backed by an angel. Like, I don't even know if you guys believe in angels, but apparently, I mean, there seems to be some sort of archangel-like energy out there that seems to be connected to source or creator or the source code or whatever the hell it is.
I mean, I view them as programs almost.
To me, it's semantics. One man's angel is another man's interdimensional being or whatever. I think there's shit out there like that, man.
But they're totally trying to, like, they're more for trying to keep things on the supposed cosmic divine plan or whatever word you want to put there. And then there's some that are trying to take it off. And these beings that seem to be connected to the source that have a lot of power
Well, I mean, it's like the point, though, isn't it? Like the eternal struggle and
Yeah.
the balance.
Well, it seems like humans have this need for dualism when the truth is really a unity, a singularity beyond all dualities.
Well, we all go to the same place. I mean, it all leads. I mean, it's still the interaction of both that creates all this. So, I mean, it's like, how can you really separate one from the other when it seems like one side stirs the pot for the other side? And it's like, I don't know, get into more philosophical things, but that's definitely. I mean, I don't know. That's where I don't know how I feel about archangels and all that mess. I don't know how. I mean, that would be awesome. But I remember praying my ass off as a kid. Please, God, don't take me every night. And nothing ever stopped.
Right.
So.
I mean, the word archangel carries a divine connotation with it that you would associate with Christianity typically. But it could just be someone's word for an interdimensional being who cares about shit. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to one who intentionally wants to do harm, right, who one might call a demon.
Interestingly enough, I do think that I've actually at one point had a run-in with a physical manifestation of the entity known as the Archangel Michael, the Archangel of Fire.
Nice. Awesome.
It was on the side of a mountain in the middle of winter.
Sweet.
Cool, man.
Yeah, like this guy, like literally, like showed up. Dude said his name was Michael, and his like license plate said like M1CH 3L or something like that. And dude had a winch on his truck. It was a bright red pickup truck, Dodge, and fucking. We were in this Oldsmobile Delta 88 with like rear wheel drive, trying to go down a frozen over, basically the side of a mountain, and this dude basically saved us from. Sliding off the side of the mountain, and we got down in one piece and said he'd meet us in town. We waited like 2.5 hours for the guy, and he never showed up.
Well, if you think that's good, Dan, tell him the hamburger abduction story.
Dude, what?
The hamburger abduction.
What are you talking about?
He's got the story where he's driving down the interstate and he's eating a hamburger, and then the next thing he knows.
Oh no, that wasn't an abduction. That was just missing time.
Yeah, the hamburger's gone.
That was instant transmission.
Oh man, look, I know you had said some earlier about wanting to touch on one specific subject. We're getting close to cutoff time. I can't remember what it was or if we talked about it. So if there was something in particular you wanted to talk about, now would be the time.
Yeah, one little thing that's just helped me, and that's for people that are having these experiences. If you could try to learn, like try to be very observant of the qualities of your dreams, like not just like what happens, but the scenery, what it feels like, what is the like, how is it shown, is it really clear, is it grainy, like all that, because that's how I got a lot of growth for me was being able to distinguish, like, okay, this feels like this is when I'm in my altar, because it feels exactly the same as those other experiences, which I'm attributing to being with my altar. So, and it just helps create some sort of order in the chaos.
Yeah.
And then cause I know, like when I'm in a cloning center, cause I actually, when I was out in LA that time, to do that filming for that show, like I had a dream where I was in a clone body, and I was in this crazy underground city. And that was before I knew anything about the Getty or anything like that. But that has a certain feel to it, being in a clone, and it just helps if you can kind of start. Like I even used to have like certain dreamscapes that I would visit over and over, where little things would be different. It might be, but it still felt like the same world. And if you can start making those distinctions in your brain, then it kind of can start. It can just help you kind of to make some order out of all the chaos. Because I know for me, like you have all these experiences and they're just floating around and you're trying to connect them and all this crazy stuff. And it does help to try to start categorizing your dreams. Even if they change and you switch things, it still helps to, even the intention of doing that, I think helps.
One last question before, anybody out in the YouTube chat, I was going to open the lines, but no. So if you're in the YouTube chat, and you got a question for Will, now would be the time to go ahead and type that in, and I guess we'll see it in about 20 seconds or something. So the ulcer pain, was that something that stuck around for a while, or was it like something that was relatively short-lived?
That lasted for a couple months. And they still didn't really know what the cause of it was.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I just had these horrible stomach cramps, and they figured out that it was actually an ulcer. So yeah, or at least that's what they said. That's what they told me.
So, do you have a particular night that you believe that you were returned? Because I know you said you thought it was around that area. Do you have a particular night?
No, I don't. I don't have a
stands
particular.
out?
No, I don't. I don't know. Like, there's not like, oh yeah, that's when I got back from my 20 back, or
Right.
nothing like that.
Nothing that sticks out like a sore thumb or nothing.
I mean, I assume something happened to me because, like I said, I assume. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Dan, you got any questions?
I had more like you mentioned something about dreams a minute ago. I had a really vivid one the other night where I was on some sort of inhabited moon in this giant arcology-like structure. It was pretty far out, but like, I remember there was this huge, it was a blue sky like Earth, right? And, like hills with trees and whatnot. But then there was this big gas giant in the sky, too. Like, it was like this blue shimmery, it was like blue and shimmery on the edges, but the closer to the middle of the disk of it, like, it had like big bands of gold and, brownish clouds swirling around it. And then there were like 3 small, spherical moons. And there was this anti-gravity elevator where, like, I left a linking sigil in the gravity elevator, in the anti-gravity elevator, in the hopes that I could use it as a point to, like, return. And, it was just this massive structure that was, it was like a tower or a skyscraper or something, but it was, like, miles wide, too.
Damn, son.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Like, one of the floors was this huge library. And I think it may have, been representative of the Akashic Records, but I'm not entirely sure.
That would not surprise me. I had a near-death experience where I ended up in or something like that, a big giant library. So yeah, definitely. I definitely think we can go there. I think it's a lot easier to go there in our dreams.
Now, do you have any direct memories, or maybe have picked something up talking to other people about any type of prison facilities on Mars?
I don't really. I don't have any damn recalls of. I have a couple of the LLC. I don't have any of Mars.
Okay.
It's like Mars is completely
Never
blank.
heard anything like talking to other people about, like, here and now. Yeah,
I mean, of course, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'm sure they do have some sort of prison facility up there.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
No,
I'm just asking.
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
Oh,
do
it's
not.
Okay. You don't have to be sorry.
Yeah, do you have
I didn't. Guess what, man? I don't know either. Sorry.
Now, do you have any questions for us? I was going to say, do you have any questions about, stuff that we've heard from other guests, experiences that we've heard about from, other people who've been part of the secret space program or have alter recalls or any of that stuff?
Well, I'm always interested to, what do you guys think about all this? I mean, what do y'all think what is going on?
Holy shit, man.
I think there's definitely, I'm convinced that there's Black Ops military space stuff going on and has been for a long time. I'm not sure how much contact between our species and other species I think is really going on, but breakaway civilizations, both in space and within the Earth or under the oceans, I could see that being a thing. It's not outside of my realm of believability.
Yeah.
If you follow the logical progression of, because I, for one, believe that we definitely have recovered crash disk ET technology, maybe even shit from like way long ago. But if you follow the natural progression of that through DARPA and all that, all of this stuff is totally possible, I think. The question is, you know, what exactly is going on? Because, you know, we can talk to a million different people and they all have stories that are kind of similar, but they're all a little bit different. And, you know, then you factor in mind-wiping technologies, you know, scrambling up your brain. So what you do remember could be mixed in with bits and pieces of a movie or of your high school prom or, you know, whatever the case may be. And then, you know, then you have the more sinister shit like programming and all that. So I just try to keep an open mind about all of it. And, you know, like I said, I don't discredit something. I don't discount something automatically because it sounds crazy. Because whatever's going on is fucking crazy, no doubt. And, you know, I believe that, you know, you guys believe. That's you know, I don't know how else to put that. I mean, there's no actual proof, like physical, tangible proof that anyone can offer. So there's no way for me to be like, yep, this guy, he got it right exactly 100%. You know, I feel like you all maybe have a little piece, you know, that fit together. And, you know, you just got to try and figure out which ones go to that puzzle and which ones are just garbage, you know, like, and it's tough, man, especially not having any type of thing to compare it to. Like, someone like you have experiences, you know, abduction experiences with your kid, you have these crazy memories. So when somebody else starts talking some shit, you can be like, oh, yeah, you know, I remember some stuff. Like you're talking about these joint recalls with, you know, some of your friends or whatever. You know, we don't have that, you know, as regular average citizens that haven't been party to the secret space program shenanigans. We don't have any baseline to compare it to. So we kind of have to just take it all and be like, why y'all motherfuckers is right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I would never accuse of anybody making up stories or lying, you know, because there's just too much at play for me to say that. I mean, you know, but I can't say that, you know, your truth is more truthier than his truth, you know, because I have nothing to compare that to.
Well, I remember, I mean, sense. I thought the 20 back was a total cop out. I was like, man, that's sure is damn convenient, you know, like it never, I mean, like it still is super convenient, you know. It's like a plot twist, you know. It's like one of the, you know, it's like so yeah, I mean, I get it. It's. I mean, I didn't want to be in the damn SFG because, like I said, I thought it's just too convenient, and it wasn't. I did a lot of research on abductee hypno-regression therapists and like people that have been doing it for 20, 30 years and like kind of what they've come up with, you know, because I figured that's a big, broad spectrum. And I finally found a guy out of Italy that talks about the same exact experience that I had as a kid, as being literally a robot doing missions and battles. And I was like, oh, thank God someone else has, you know, finally written about this. And that was all under pretty much alien mind control. So I definitely know that there is a mind control aspect to this. I mean, even every abductee a lot of times you're stuck to the wall, you're paralyzed because they're mind controlling you. So I know that there's that plays into all this. I don't know exactly how, you know, and I don't know how bad it, you know, what is and what isn't, but I definitely know that they have these abilities to mess with this like that if they're real. So I definitely think that, and honestly, I think there's mind control on thinking about this shit too deeply. You know, like you have to, you know, it's like you have to have some sort of motivation inside to kind of get past all that, to really dive, you know, and so that's, I mean, like for me, I had all this trauma and shit that I'm trying to figure out, and I mean, that's kind of
where it's leading you. I mean, you know,
it's leading me.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I'm convinced some crazy shit's going on, and it would not surprise me, you know, if everything everyone's saying is exactly true, but I can't say that with 100% certainty, but, you know, I definitely don't think that guys are just making shit up willy-nilly, And I definitely think there's something crazy going on. Until they come and fucking scoop me up and show me, then I'll be like, oh yeah, him, they're right.
Hey, when I get a debriefing, I will totally call you guys. I'm like, hey man,
Right.
I finally got debriefed last night.
All right, yeah.
You know, and you can, I don't know, believe me or not, but yeah, I mean, I know you have no proof, and even with the alien abduction stuff, there's hardly any. And
I mean,
it's
you
like,
know, I believe though I don't require the proof. It'd be nice to convince everyone else, but I believe there's something going on, and I, you know, like I said, it's very possible to me that they're snatching. We had that conversation earlier. It's possible, I think, totally to snatch somebody's consciousness and then it be quantumly entangled into a clone, like existing in multiple places at once,
Or perhaps even multiple timelines at once.
well, that's, yeah.
Yep.
That's where it gets kind of crazy. Because like, I mean, there's a whole parallel Earth that I didn't even talk about called Trinicon that other MILABs have been to, and a lot of my missions when I was in my teenage years were involved at the same place.
We had a guest a while back. I always bring this guy up. He was not an SSP experiencer, but he was claimed to be abducted and in contact with a Zeta hybrid that was part of a kind of like a breakaway faction that was fighting against the Zetas to try and stop the abduction hybridization program going on. But he talked about that alternate Earth thing, and he said he actually saw his alternate self come out of like a triangular craft. There's this big whole long story. If you're interested, the guy's name is Jason Moss. It's on our channel somewhere if you're interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I think I started it. I just don't know. I don't remember that story. I'll have to go back and make sure I heard that part because that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, like so that chick Beniko, the one he's in contact with, apparently some men were trying to get her, and then the ship shows up, and he gets out of it, and then he gets shot or something like that. I mean, you know, it's an incredible story, and he talked about the other place and having giant humans, and some other things. But yeah, it was definitely interesting.
Cool. Yeah, there's another guy named Stephen Popiotek who talks about it, and that, I mean, he was where I heard the name from. But yeah, a whole lot of that's a whole nother crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much shit. There's layers upon layers and layers of stuff. Like, it doesn't stop with Kruger and Monarch and the ICC, and then you've got these whole other layers of interdimensional and extraterrestrial and God knows what else.
Indeed. Well, I mean, at least we're not bored, huh? I mean,
yeah, I think maybe I might spend a little too much time on the shit though.
Yeah, I know. You should see my yard and my house. Indeed, yeah.
Oh,
definitely. Focus on 3D more.
Well, thanks for joining us, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
Yeah,
Maybe
absolutely.
It's
been 2 hours. Feels like it just flew by.
Yeah, we actually went
That's
over.
Great. I had a great time. I like the banter, the friendliness. This is some really heavy shit, so I appreciate the bringing the light to it because that's how I deal with it. Because man, it'll you start thinking too hard, it'll mess you up.
Yeah, it's rough, man, and you know,
if
you got some courage coming forward with stories like this because I mean, obviously, me and you know what repercussions are from talking about this kind of stuff. You know, you get treated like you know, like you're bad shit.
Like when
you
you're
know?
one of those tinfoil conspiracy theory guys out there, you know, saying all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, and then you got then you got private contractors. Yeah, so yeah. it's definitely weird. People think you're crazy.
The friggin' frog's gay.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on React.